Fundamental Principles of Criminal Law. The theories in criminal law. 1. Classical theory. The basis of criminal liability is the human free will. That is, for as long as wrongful act was done voluntarily, with freedom, intelligence, and intent, then the offender must be held accountable for such acts. The purpose of the penalty is retribution. The theory seeks to establish a direct proportion between the crime and the penalty. The Revised Penal Code is generally governed by this theory. However, there are some aspects of the code that are based on positivist theory, which is impossible crimes and habitual delinquency. The positivist theory. The basis of criminal liability is the sum total of the social and economic phenomena to which the actor is exposed, and the purpose of the penalty is prevention and reformation. Examples include the indeterminate sentence law, treating minority as a privileged mitigating circumstance, and applying modifying circumstances in heinous and quasi-heinous crimes. The third theory is the eclectic or mixed theory. It is a combination of positivist and classical thinking wherein crimes that are economic and social in nature should be dealt in a positive manner, thus the law is more compassionate. Ideally, the classical theory is applied to heinous crimes, whereas the positivist theory is made to work on economic and social crimes. And the fourth theory is the utilitarian theory. The primary function of punishment is to protect society from potential and actual wrongdoers. The retributive aspect of penal laws should be directed against them. The law should not be applied to further materialism and opportunism. In construction or interpretation of penal laws, the effects of repeal of penal laws. There is absolute repeal and partial repeal. In absolute repeal, this obliterates the crime defined and punished by the repealed law. The act is decriminalized and the beneficial effects of the repeal are retroactively applied. This deprives the courts of the jurisdiction to try pending and future cases involving the decriminalized act. Persons convicted of the decriminalized act should now then be immediately released. The basis is nullum crimen nulla pena sine lege. There is no crime when there is no law punishing it. Partial repeal or the repeal with reenactment or amendment. The new law expressly repeals an old law, but it reenacts the act previously punished under the old law, albeit with some modifications on penalties, modifying circumstances, etc. In such case, the wrongful act continues to be punishable, but this time under the provisions of the new law. Saving clause in repealing laws. A saving clause operates to exempt from the effect of the repealing law what would otherwise be lost under the new law. In such cases, the repealing law expressly reserves the right of the state to prosecute and punish offenses for violations of the repealed law where the cases are either pending or under investigation. Amendments of penal laws. If it is favorable to accused, then it has a retroactive effect, except for habitual delinquents. If it is unfavorable to the accused, then it must be prospectively applied. The retroactive effect of penal laws. Generally, penal laws are prospective in effect, so they are non-retroactive, except when the penal laws uh, is favorable to the accused who is not a habitual delinquent, or if the law decriminalizes an act, there is an absolute repeal, or if the law expressly provides for its retroactivity subject to constitutional proscription against ex post facto laws. The pro reo principle or the rule on lenity. In the case of doubt, penal statutes should be strictly construed against the state only when the law is ambiguous and there is doubt regarding its interpretation. Then, if there is no doubt, penal laws should be strictly applied. The concept of nullum crimen nulla pena sine lege, it literally means there is no crime when there is no law punishing it. Thus, while antisocial acts should be penalized, there must be a clear definition of the punishable offenses, as well as the penalty that may be imposed. Still under construction of penal laws, the concept of mala inse and mala prohibita. Mala inse is wrong from its very nature. while mala prohibita is wrong merely because there is a law prohibiting the same. Mala in se is generally punishable by the revised penal code, while mala prohibita is generally punishable by special laws. Mala in se requires the criminal intent on the part of the offender, while in mala prohibita generally the mere intent to perpetrate the act or done freely and consciously is enough. In mala in se, good faith or lack of criminal intent is a defense, but it is not an accepted defense in mala prohibita unless there is an element of or unless the intent or the good faith or lack of criminal intent is an element of the crime, such as in RA 3019, the evident bad faith or the law specifically provides. In mala in se, the degree of participation and the stages of accomplishment is considered. The degree of participation includes principal accomplices and accessories, while in stages of accomplishment, it can be consummated, frustrated, or attempted. In mala prohibita, the stage of accomplishment is always consummated and it does not follow the degree of participation. Actus reus and mens rea. Actus reus refers to the criminal act. It is that overt act which consummates the crime. Example, the killing, the robbing, or the vexing. Mens rea refers to the criminal intent or the guilty mind or wrongful purpose. Actus non facit reum nisi mens sit rea means that the act is not criminal if the mind of the actor is not criminal. For conviction of intentional felonies, there must be a concurrence of the two, actus reus, the overt act that is punishable by law, and the mens rea, or the guilty mind, or the criminal intent. Kinds of criminal intent. Specific criminal intent is used to describe a state of mind of the actor. It is the particular purpose or specific intention in doing the prohibited act. This is found in Book 2 of the Revised Penal Code. General criminal intent, also referred as the dolo in Article 4 of the Revised Penal Code, refers to the mens rea or the criminal or evil intent. Example, killing a victim in the exercise of self-defense is justified. Here, the accused killed the victim when with intent to kill. However, he is not criminally liable since he committed the act without evil intent. The cardinal principles of criminal law. Generality. Penal laws are obligatory on all persons who live or sojourn in the Philippine territory, regardless of the nationality, gender, or other personal circumstances, subject to the principle of public international law and treaty stipulations. So, exception to the generality rule is treaty stipulations like the VFA or the Visiting Forces Agreement, which was signed on Feb 10, 1998 and came into force on June 1, 1999, which is an agreement between the Philippines and the U.S. government regarding the treatment of U.S. armed forces visiting the Philippines. Another cardinal principle in criminal law is the laws of preferential application. Examples are RA 75, which penalizes acts which would impair proper observance by the Republic and its inhabitants of the immunities, rights, and privileges of duly accredited foreign diplomatic representatives in the Philippines. Another example is Section 11 of Article 6 of Constitution, providing that no member of the Congress shall be questioned nor be held liable in any other place for any speech or debate in the Congress or any committee thereof. Another example, Section 2 of Article 11 of the Constitution provides that the President, the Vice President, the Supreme Court Justices, and members of constitutional commissions, including the Ombudsman, may be removed from office on impeachment. And RA 7055. It provides for jurisdiction of civilian courts vis-a-vis the military courts. The principle of public international law, who are exempted, of course, the sovereigns and their heads of state, charges d'affaires, ambassadors, ministers, minister resident, plenipotentiary, under the Article 14 of Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. Note that consuls, vice-consuls, and other commercial representatives of foreign nations cannot claim the privileges and immunities accorded to ambassadors and ministers unless there is a specific treaty or executive agreement that gives them specific immunity. Cardinal principle number 2, territoriality. Generally, the Philippine penal laws are enforceable only within its territory, except when the penal law provides for extraterritorial application. Examples are found in Article 2 of the Revised Penal Code, anti-vowsy, which punishes the offender even if he committed the act outside of the Philippines if the victim in the Philippines at the time of the if the victim is in the Philippines at the time of the commission of the offense. Cybercrime Prevention Act, which punishes the offender even if he committed the act if the victim is a Filipino or if the victim is in the Philippines or the damage is incurred in the Philippines at the time of the commission of the offense. And also Anti-Terrorism Act. Third cardinal principle is prospectivity. Generally, penal laws should be enforced prospectively, meaning a person could not be held liable for an act that was not punishable at the time of its commission, except penal law shall be given retroactive effect if the law is favorable to the accused who is not a habitual delinquent, if the law decriminalizes the act or is an absolute repeal, and if the law expressly provides for its retroactivity. Constitutional limitations on the power of the Congress to enact penal laws. Equal protection. A person similarly situated should not be treated differently. Note that the statute may, on its face, be violative of the Equal Protection Clause. In such case, the statute must be struck down for being unconstitutional. However, a statute may be non-discriminatory on its face, but may be discriminatory when applied and administered by public authority with an evil eye. In such case, the acts of such public authority may be corrected via certiorari. Due Process Clause. By due process is meant a law which hears before it condemns, which proceeds upon inquiry, and renders judgment only after trial. Due process contemplates notice and opportunity to be heard before judgment is rendered, affecting one's person or property. It is designed to secure justice as a living reality, not to sacrifice it by paying undue homage to formality, for substance must prevail over form. Due process, in essence, requires notice and opportunity to be heard. Notice requirement includes publication requirement under Article 2 of the New Civil Code. The Bill of Attainder. A Bill of Attainder is a legislative act that inflicts punishment without trial, its essence being the substitution of legislative fiat for a judicial determination of guilt. A Bill of Attainder is unconstitutional. Ex post facto law. An ex post facto law is a law that either makes a criminal act done before the passage of the law that was innocent when done and punishes such act, or it aggravates a crime or makes a crime greater than it was when it was committed, or changes the punishment and inflicts a greater punishment than the law annexed to the crime when it was committed, or it alters the legal rules on evidence and authorizes conviction upon less or different testimony than the law required at the time of the commission of the offense, or it assumes to regulate civil rights and remedies only, but in effect imposes a penalty of deprivation of a right for an act that was lawful when done, or it deprives a person accused of a crime some lawful protection to which he has become entitled, such as the protection of a former conviction or acquittal or a proclamation of an amnesty. Excessive fines, cruel, degrading, or inhumane punishment. Cruelty refers to the physical suffering of the victim purposely intended by the offender. Excessive fines shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhumane punishment inflicted. Neither shall death penalty be imposed unless for compelling reasons involving heinous crimes. The Congress hereafter provides for it. Any death penalty already imposed shall be reduced to reclusion perpetua. The employment of physical, psychological, or degrading punishment against any prisoner or detainee, or the use of substandard or inadequate penal facilities under subhuman conditions shall be dealt with by law. The Revised Penal Code, Book 1, Felonies. A felony refers exclusively to acts or omissions punished by the Revised Penal Code. Violations of special laws are generally referred to as offenses. It is necessary to know whether the crime is a felony or an offense. For instance, in Article 160, a convicted prisoner who commits a felony while serving sentence is liable for quasi-recidivism in addition to the felony. But if he commits an offense while serving such sentence, he is not liable for recidivism, for the article uses the word felony. Criminal liability. Criminal liability shall be incurred, this is Article 4 of the RPC, by any person committing a felony or delito, although the wrongful act done be different from that which he intended. 2. By any person performing an act which would be an offense against persons or property were it not for the inherent impossibility of its accomplishment or on account of the employment of inadequate or ineffectual means. Okay? One who commits an intentional felony is responsible for all the consequences which he may naturally and logically result therefrom, whether foreseen or intended or not. The proximate cause. This refers to one which, in natural sequence, undisturbed by an independent cause, produces the result complained of. The result, however, must be natural, probable consequence which ought to have been foreseen, is likely to flow from the act complained of. Efficient intervening cause is one that destroys the causal connection between the negligent act and the injury and thereby negates liability. It must break the continuity of causal connection between the original negligent act or omission and the injury so that the former cannot be said to have been the efficient cause of the latter. Aberratio ictus. A person is criminally liable for committing an intentional felony although the actual victim is different from that intended victim due to mistake of blow. The circumstance of aberratio ictus can neither exempt the accused from criminal responsibility nor mitigate it. Error in personae or mistake of identity, a person is criminally liable for committing an intentional felony although the actual victim is different from that intended victim due to a mistake in identity. Praeter intentionem, a person is criminally liable for committing an intentional felony although the wrongful consequence is graver than that intended. Effect of praeter intentionem is a mitigating circumstance for the lack of intent to commit so grave a wrong under Article 13 of the RPC. The requisites for an impossible crime: that the act performed would be an offense against persons or property, that the act was done with evil intent, and that its accomplishment was inherently impossible, or the means employed was either inadequate or ineffectual. The crime committed is impossible crime if the offense sought to be committed is factually or legally impossible. When we say factual impossibility, it occurs when the extraneous circumstances unknown to the actor or beyond his control prevent the consummation of the intended crime. Legal impossibility occurs where the intended act, even if completed, would not amount to a crime, because legal impossibility would apply to those circumstances where the motive, desire, and expectation is to perform an act in violation of law. There is intention to perform the physical act. There is performance of the intended physical act, and the consequence resulting from the intended act does not amount to a crime. The duty of the courts in case of non-punishable act and excessive penalty. This is Article 5 of the Revised Penal Code. For acts borne out in case of out of a case which is not punishable by law and the court finds it proper to repress, the remedy is to render the proper decision and thereafter report to the Chief Executive through the Department of Justice the reasons why the same act should be subject of penal legislation. The premise here is that the deplorable act is present but is not subject to any penal legislation. Thus, the court is tasked to inform the Chief Executive of the need to make an act punishable by law through legislation. The court can likewise recommend to the Chief Executive to grant executive clemency in view of the harshness of the law, such as in case of the mother convicted with forcible abduction with rape with her son and meted reclusion perpetua because of her maternal love which moved her to conspire with him. Okay. Stages of execution, the subjective phase and the objective phase. The subjective phase is that portion of the act constituting the crime included between the act which begins the commission of the crime and the last act performed by the offender which with prior acts should result in the consummated crime. After that point has been reached, the subjective phase ends and the objective phase begins. If the offender never passes the subjective phase of the offense, the crime is merely attempted. On the other hand, subjective phase is completely passed in case of frustrated crimes, for in such instances, subjectively the crime is complete. Objective phase, it starts from the time the offender has performed all acts necessary to accomplish the crime because there is nothing more he needed to do to accomplish his crime. The crime does not depend anymore on the subject. The acts done will now run its course and would result in either prostrated felony or to consummated felony. Spontaneous desistance. In the attempted stage, the offender has not performed all the acts of execution. To be absolved from criminal liability, he must spontaneously desist from performing all acts of execution. Spontaneous is not equivalent to voluntary. The term spontaneous means proceeding from natural feeling or native tendency without external constraint. It is synonymous with impulsive, automatic, and mechanical. Factor in the cause of non-performance of all acts of execution. If the cause of the non-performance of all acts of execution is spontaneous desistance, he is not liable. Note that in attempted homicide case, the accused will be absolved from criminal liability for homicide if he desisted from inflicting mortal wound upon the victim. However, he is liable for the crime that he already completed, such as physical injuries, threat, or discharge of firearm. If the cause of the non-performance of all the acts of execution is other than the offender's spontaneous desistance, then a felony is attempted. Attempted, frustrated, and consummated stages. When we say attempted felony, the offender commences the commission of a felony directly by overt acts but does not produce the felony by reason of some other cause or accident other than his own spontaneous desistance. Frustrated, when the offender performs all the acts of execution which would produce the felony but does not produce it by reason of causes independent of the will of the perpetrator. Crimes which do not admit frustrated stage, we have rabbit, rape, arson, bribery, and theft. In rape, once there is penetration, no matter how slight it is, the offense is consummated. In arson, the crime is already consummated, even only a portion of the wall or any part of the house is burned. The consummation of the crime does not depend upon the extent of the damage caused. In bribery and corruption of public officers, if there is already meeting of the minds, there is consummated bribery or corruption. Theft, once there is unlawful taking, theft is consummated. It does not matter how long the property was in possession of the accused. It does not matter whether the property was disposed of or not. In consummated felony, when all the elements necessary for its execution and accomplishment are present, the felony is produced. Crimes without frustrated and attempted stages, meaning only a consummated stage. Offenses punishable by special laws unless the law provides otherwise. Formal crimes consummated in one instance such as slander, adultery. Impossible crimes, crimes consummated by mere attempt to flee to an enemy country, treason, corruption of minors. Felonies by omissions, crimes committed by mere agreement such as betting in sports, ending, corruption of public officers. Overt act. It consists of physical activity or deed indicating the intention to commit a particular crime, more than a mere planning or preparation, which, if carried out to its complete termination, following its natural course, without being frustrated by external obstacles nor by spontaneous desistance of the perpetrator, will logically and necessarily ripen into a concrete offense. Conspiracy and proposal. Conspiracy. This is under Article 8 of the Revised Penal Code. Okay, so conspiracy and proposal are not punishable because they are mere preparatory acts. They are not overt acts that amount to the commencement of the felony, except they are punishable only if there is a law making it a felony. If there is no law penalizing it, then there is no crime committed. It is only a manner of incurring criminal liability. Conspiracy exists when two or more persons come to an agreement concerning the commission of a felony and decide to commit it. Proving conspiracy, the prosecution must establish the following three requisites: that there are two or more persons who came to an agreement, that that agreement concerned the commission of the crime, and that the execution of the felony was decided upon. Except in the case of mastermind of a crime, it must also be shown that the accused performed an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. One who joins a criminal conspiracy adopts, in effect, the criminal design of his co-conspirators. Each of the accused will thereby be deemed equally guilty as co-principals of the crime committed. Types of conspiracy: a mere conspiracy as a crime itself, or a conspiracy as a means of committing a crime by prior agreement or by implied conspiracy. When you say mere conspiracy as a crime, examples are conspiracy to commit treason, commit rebellion, commit insurrection, arson, coup d'etat, sedition, and terrorism. Implied conspiracy exists when two or more persons are shown to have aimed by their acts towards the accomplishment of the same unlawful object, each doing a part so that their combined acts, though apparently independent, were in fact connected and cooperative, indicating closeness of personal association and the concurrence of sentiment. The liability of conspirators: generally, the act of one is the act of all. When the conspiracy is established, all who participated therein, regardless of the participation, are equally liable. The responsibility of a conspirator is not confined to the accomplishment of a particular purpose of conspiracy, but extends to the collateral acts and offenses incident to and growing out of the purpose intended. Thus, conspirators are still liable when the other crime was committed in their presence, and they did not prevent its commission, which is taken as approval or acquiescence to the second crime. When the other crime is the natural consequence of the crime planned, homicide, example homicide resulting from physical injuries. Third, when the resulting crime is a composite crime or special complex crime considered as a single indivisible felony, except when the conspirator is not aware of the commission of the second unplanned crime. Exception: when one or some of the conspirators committed another crime which is not part of the crime intended. Co-conspirators are criminally liable only for the acts done pursuant to the conspiracy, on how and what are the necessary and logical consequences of the intended crime. Structures of multiple conspiracies: the wheel or circle conspiracy, in which there is a single person or group, the hub, dealing individually with two or more other persons or groups, that spokes, and the chain conspiracy, usually involving a distribution of narcotics and other contraband, in which there is successive communication and cooperation in a much the same way as with legitimate business operations between manufacturer and wholesaler, then the wholesaler to retailer, and then the retailer to the consumer. So for the wheel, there is a hub or a single person and conspiring with its spokes. Ayan. So parang san. In chain conspiracy, it involves successive communication. So ito, yung mastermind, then to the other, and then to the other. Okay, syndicated crime group versus conspiracy. A syndicate, as defined in 7659, refers to a group of two or more persons collaborating, confederating, or mutually aiding one another for the purpose of gain in the commission of any crime. Conspiracy exists when two or more persons agree and decide to commit any crime. In syndicate, an offense is committed by a group for purposes of gain. Such is not necessary in conspiracy. In syndicate, a crime group is an organized group. Such organization is not necessary in conspiracy. Proposal to commit a crime. There is proposal when the person who decided to commit a felony proposes its execution to some other person or persons. When the proposal is accepted, then it becomes conspiracy. Mere proposal to commit a felony, punishable when it is committed, when it is done through, mere proposal to commit a felony which are punishable by law. 1. Proposal to commit treason, rebellion, coup d'etat, insurrection, and lately the terrorism. Okay. Note that there is no crime to proposal, there is no crime of proposal to commit sedition. Requisites of proposal to commit a felony: that a person has decided to commit a felony, he proposes its execution to some other person or persons. There is no proposal when the person who proposes is not determined to commit the felony, and there is no decided concrete proposal. It is not the execution of the felony that is proposed. Moving on to classifications of felony according to gravity. Okay, grave, less grave, and light felonies. So this is under Article 9 of the Revised Penal Code. So those grave felonies, those to which the law attaches the capital punishment or penalties which in their periods are afflictive in accordance with Article 25 of the RPC, includes those punishable by reclusion perpetua, temporal, perpetual and absolute disqualification, perpetual and temporary special disqualification, prisión mayor, and a fine more than 1.2 million. Less grave felonies, those which the law punishes the penalties which in their maximum period are correctional in accordance again with Article 35, and it includes prisión correccional, arresto mayor, suspension, destierro, and a fine not exceeding 1.2 but less than 40,000 pesos. Light felonies, those infractions of law for the commission of which the penalty of arresto menor or a fine not exceeding 40,000 pesos or both is provided. And these are the following crimes are considered as light felonies: light physical injury, theft, alteration of boundary marks, malicious mischief, intriguing against honor, alarms, and scandals. A suppletory application of the Revised Penal Code, which is discussed in Article 10 of the Revised Penal Code. Offenses which are or in the future may be punishable under the special laws are not subject to the provisions of this code. This code shall be suppletory to such laws under the latter should specific unless the latter should specifically provide to the contrary. Note that despite the suppletory application of RPC to special laws, its provisions regarding modifying circumstances such as gemaa, justifying, exempting, mitigating, aggravating, degree of participation such as principal, accomplice, and accessory, and the stages of execution consummated, frustrated, and attempted do not necessarily and automatically apply to offenses punishable by special laws. Some of these provisions apply only if the nomenclature of the penalties under the RPC are used in the special penal laws or in the special penal law itself so provides for such application.